Hello, this is Satya Tripathi and welcome to my tutorials on design patterns. So, to start with, what are design patterns? Design patterns are solutions to problems faced in object-oriented programming world. So, design patterns provide solutions to the problems that developers face in their software design. There are three categories of design patterns. They are creational, structural, and behavioral. So the creational design pattern deals with the creation of the objects depending on different situations. Structural design pattern deals with the relationship between the entities or the objects, and their behavioral design pattern deals with the communication between different objects. So these are the definitions that I have from the wiki. So the creational design pattern states that in software engineering, creational design patterns are design patterns that deal with object creation mechanisms, trying to create objects in a manner suitable to the situation. The basic form of object creation could result in design problems or in added complexity to the design. For the structural pattern, the definition is in software engineering, structural design patterns are design patterns that ease the design by identifying a simple way to realize relationships between entities. And for the behavioral, we have in software engineering, behavioral design patterns are design patterns that identify the common communication patterns between objects and realize these patterns. So these are the lists of the design patterns. So under creational we have factory, abstract factory, builder, prototype, singleton. Under structural we have adapter, bridge, composite, decorator, facade, flyweight, and proxy. Under behavioral we have chain of responsibility, command, interpreter, iterator, mediator, memento, observer, state, strategy, template method, and visitor. So let's start with that factory design pattern. So in the factory design pattern, we have a method of a class that takes the responsibility of creating the object of the classes and then returns it to the client. The client does not need to be aware of the underlying classes. So we will be able to understand this when we start looking in that code. So I have written a small piece of code in C#.net, and to understand this, let's first look at that incorrect way of creating objects. So here if you see, we have three classes: the small screw, medium screw, and large screw. And this is that client project. Inside it, if you see, we are creating objects of each of the classes. So first of all, the client application has to be aware of each of their classes, and in future if a new class is added, that has to be again coded here. Now again, the problem here is that object creation is being done on their client side. So the responsibility of creating the object lies on that client. So now let's see how the factory design pattern resolves this issue. So let me just uncomment this piece of code, and I will show you how the factory design pattern resolves this problem. Okay, now if you see here, we have an interface called iScrew, and then each of these classes implement the interface. So I have the small screw, large screw, and the medium screw. They all implement from iScrew. And then I have a factory class, and this is an abstract class which has an abstract method to create the object. And this is that concrete factory class. And if you see, this method takes in an enum. So let me just scroll up and show you the enum. So this takes in 3 values: large, small, and medium, and then depending upon that value it creates the object. Now let's go to the client code, and if you see here, let me uncomment out this one. If you see here, we are just creating the factory object, and then we are invoking the create screw method to create the large screw. So like we are just passing in that enum value, and again if you see, we have just the interface here. We don't have to be aware of each of these classes, and then we are just printing the value in that command line. So let me just run here, and then you would see the output. So if so the responsibility of creating the object, it lies on the abstract method. It's not on that client end. Now going forward, we will go through each of the other design patterns. Thanks for watching this video, and see you soon. Bye.